Summary from where she tries to grasp the ray of hope, this time, she genuinely felt it. This is when the fate of Axion and Hillis is connected. Returning to reality at the Inoden mansion, Axion visits her, but unexpectedly, the maid arranges for them to meet in the romantic garden. Hillis' father, Diego, suddenly appears. He questions why Axion always comes to his daughter. He heard that they went to the Four Seasons forest together and expresses concern about a man and a woman being alone in such a remote place. Axion involuntarily feels guilty but, as an outsider, doesn't know what to say. Hillis stands up, thinking her father expects her to obey him in front of guests. She refuses to be insulted and tells him not to offend her guests. Tell him straight to his face that he has no right as a father to advise me. However, Diego's ego is still too significant, unable to accept this reality. His anger erupts, and he raises his hand to slap Hillis. Ricardo, her brother, rushes in to block the slap. This is the first time Ricardo has done such a thing. Ricardo's apology ends the altercation. The two exit to another part of the garden. Hillis apologizes to Axion for the unpleasant scene. Axion wants to know if her family always treats her like this. However, witnessing it, perhaps Axion shouldn't ask, as it would only hurt Hillis. Axion wants to express his feelings. Grasping Hillis' hand in the name of Axion Berger, he swears that she will never be harmed, either directly or indirectly. This oath is accompanied by a supernatural power, indicating that violators will be punished by that power. Returning to Hillis' father, Diego, it becomes evident that the earlier assumptions were correct. The family's dark side is revealed in front of outsiders, and it's time for consequences. Despite Ricardo's attempts to advise his father, Diego's ego makes it challenging. Hillis activates the power of the rose to solve the issue, placing a seal in the room. Everyone can come and go freely here, and eventually, her father will get used to it. As he tries to step out, something stops him, and in vain, he shouts Hillis' name. The day arrives for the scheduled meeting in the Four Seasons forest. They meet and proceed to the garden. In a moment, Axion is waiting at the usual spot. While relaxing on the sofa, Hillis' image keeps appearing in his mind, making him wonder what information she seeks in the Four Seasons forest. Recalling their first meeting in that place, he reflects on the peculiar feelings he has for Hillis, questioning why he's drawn to her. He dreams of holding her hand in a congratulatory celebration and feels happy. Laughing at himself, he falls asleep. When Hillis steps out, he's already asleep. Initially wanting to ask about the secret storage room, but decided to go alone because she didn't want to disturb his sleep. Reviewing information provided by the four major clans, she unexpectedly discovers crucial details about the four guardians who seized the heart of the last king. The child born in the convergence of light and the great ocean became the first generation in this land, living and surviving. However, there is still no further news. But perhaps it's time to go home now. Hillis looks at Axion as if he's struggling. "Are you daydreaming?" he says, urging her not to leave. Suddenly, she reaches out his hand, and there's finally a slightly different expression. Hillis herself is shocked, but his attention is on that dream, which somehow relates to Hillis, and that fragment of memory that seems to exist. In Hillis' palm, there may no longer be any scars. "That's good then," he says, wishing her glory on that day. In a moment, the expected day arrives. Donning an extravagant dress for the first time, Hillis encounters her unwanted brother, Ricardo, who wants to escort her. However, she refuses and makes it clear she doesn't want him. Ricardo tries to provoke her, asking if she wants to tarnish the Inoden name, and questions how she feels when facing him. Hillis, confused, doesn't understand. "It's not my responsibility, but I'll give you a chance," she says. "Walk behind me, not next to me." She appears, dazzling everyone with his radiance. The descendants of the major clans offer their blessings, and the Parvanon members do the same, though it feels uncomfortable. As he approaches, he grabs her hand, hoping she'll wish him well for the next succession ceremony. Hillis is left speechless, so they raise their glasses to start the banquet. Due to excessive drinking, Hillis shows unusual signs, but upon reflection, the sacred chalice is just a normal cup. It's merely an object for offering wine to the king, and its true nature remains unclear. Hillis, likely intoxicated, starts behaving erratically. Unexpectedly, she encounters Chris on the balcony. Unable to control herself, she speaks Chris's hidden desires. "You really just wanted me to go to bed with you." Chris challenges her, suggesting that if he truly has value, Hillis should see only in his eyes, not Axion. Hillis silently walks away, paying no attention to Chris's words. Her goal is the Four Seasons forest, but she needs a clan lead to accompany her. However, isn't Axion the most logical choice now? Before Axion, the lady proactively takes his hand. Both shine under the white light, surrounded by the intoxicating fragrance of roses. The scent is challenging for Axion to resist, but he must try to stay within his limits. Thus, they teleport to the Four Seasons forest. Axion hears that Hillis wants to offer a cup of wine to the king, intending to extract her own fresh blood for the king using the rose's vines. Alarmed, Axion rushes to stop her. Suddenly, a strange light emanates from the coffin, accompanied by a powerful voice. The last king on this earth greets them. Hillis is shocked by the scene before her, overwhelmed by emotions and questions. All encapsulated in one, "Can I escape this cycle?" The king explains that her death lacked blessings, so the Enoden lineage will continue the cycle and never end in this generation. Hillis, bewildered, wonders why she has to bear this burden. The king tells her that this is the price to pay for the betrayal of the four guardians. He was the first and last king, forced to die under their loyalty, his last breath filled with endless suffering. That's why he cursed his descendants, especially the beloved and hated Enoden. To break the cycle, find the artifacts containing his breath. Hillis is shaken, not understanding why she is the one burdened with this. This event happened 3,000 years ago in a location in the Montana clan. A night full of strange things happened. Cut to the Enoden family garden. They gather to summarize everything from last night, an event that seems blurry and unbelievable to Axion. He asks Hillis if she wants to search for those artifacts. She dismisses the fantastical story, but the next morning, Axion finds her at the Four Seasons forest. Axion questions her, wondering if she doesn't believe the story. Hillis replies vaguely. Axion asks if she doesn't want to search for the artifacts. Without answering, Hillis enters a suspicious room, and Axion follows her. The room is strange, making them both uneasy. Nevertheless, the mirror in the room emits energy. Axion asks if she's not afraid. Hillis steps into the mirror without hesitation, and Axion follows, startled. They are shifted to another location. While exploring, two men arrive to check on some noise. They approach a nearby cabinet but abandon the idea upon seeing valuable items around. Hillis and Axion manage to avoid the mishap. Looking around, the mansion seems very familiar. It's Amelie's mansion, where the monster incident occurred. Chris is also present, and the memory of Axion taking credit for his work irks him. Is it just because Axion has a stronger ability? Unintentionally, Chris notices Hillis and Axion across the street, fueling his resentment. He questions the butler, but the butler claims that the clan head had no other schedules with Chris that day. Chris thinks he might have been mistaken due to the tone but is certain they are here. They move towards a painting, feeling a strange attraction. Hillis' curiosity gets the better of her, and she touches the painting. It shatters, forming a shining yellow gem. Axion touches an image within it, a girl with pink hair surrounded by a dark, murky color. Taking the first step in searching for the artifacts, a loud noise alerts the guards inside the mansion. They immediately use their abilities to teleport. What worries Axion is the image he touched. Hillis doesn't sense anything. Axion decides to touch it again but reconsiders and runs away, leaving Hillis puzzled. In the evening, Hillis still wants to learn more about the mirror. After some research, she discovers it's the king's mirror, created to go wherever he wished at any time. She decides to try it but ends up in Axion's location. Hillis is embarrassed, quickly turns red. Hearing a noise in the room, the servant arrives to bring something for him. A familiar scent makes servant sure it's an Enoden household. Hillis doesn't understand why she ended up here. After some thought, Axion speculates that the mirror leads to places with artifacts. They both step out. The curious household servant follows them. Axion leads Hillis to the Burzit family treasure, a seemingly ordinary dagger. Hillis touches it, turning it into a gem, revealing a fragment of someone's memory. The memory shows a red-haired girl with a spear, tears in her eyes, pointing the weapon towards the king. Axion also tries to touch it. But your memories are different. They belong to Hillis, and they are the things you forgot and lost. It's all about her. When Hillis heard and panicked, grabbing Axion, "Whatever it is, please don't remember it, it's too late." That is the memory of Hillis' fifth life, where Axion saved her from that room. Diego shouted loudly, "Put my daughter down now." Seeing that words couldn't move Axion, he immediately called the clan to surround them, but they didn't expect Axion's abilities to be so powerful. The entire group was subdued immediately. Everything was exposed, and for the first time, Axion felt that the Enoden family was so rotten. Hillis, for the first time, felt warmth. Finally, she escaped from that earthly hell and woke up at the Berger estate. Everything felt like a dream. For the first time, she was taken care of by someone. But the past left her with a huge shadow, a horrifying nightmare, making it difficult for her to live normally. Hearing Hillis' desperate cry, Axion rushed over, trying to console her despite being a bit awkward, but still showing concern. Thinking about his second life, Hillis had relied on Chris, and the price paid was too high. If things continued like that, she would be hurt again. She tormented herself, vowing never to open her heart to anyone. Some time later, Lady Violetta arranged to meet Hillis. It could be seen that she had lost her own eyes, something extremely important to the Kalisha family. She came here to explain everything to Hillis, why she was here. And that was Hillis' final cry for help, finally answered by someone. Flooded with emotions, Hillis couldn't hold back her tears. She blamed herself for what she had done wrong or how naive she had been. And for the first time, someone remembered her, extended a helping hand. In the garden, Axion pondered over everything that had happened. His mission was essentially to free Hillis from Inoden's control. But unintentionally, he brought her to Berger for protection. Meanwhile, Kalisha was in chaos. Looking at Hillis sleeping peacefully made him feel relieved, as she usually felt uncomfortable while sleeping. It was as if this flower could finally bloom. Returning to reality, Hillis hoped Axion wouldn't think about it anymore. Are there still secrets to uncover? The noise outside indicated that the elders wanted to greet the Inoden family. However, Axion dispersed them by claiming that he had just damaged the family heirloom. They were left gaping. Axion immediately teleported to Inoden. The scene in front of him astonished him. The mansion was wrapped in vines. On this side, Hillis was in a state of panic. Why could Axion remember the memories of past lives? A strange voice appeared in her head, repeatedly saying, "Eat me." With Hillis' nature, she wasn't afraid of anything. She immediately picked it up and put it directly into her mouth. On the other side, Diego was furious about everything. Hillis witnessed the situation and decided to teach him a lesson. Raising her hand, a loud explosion shattered the entire ceiling. She had given them too much time, even her presence. It was time for them to choose their path. However, everything had come to an end. She raised her hand, draining Diego's power, erasing their existence. And then, she expelled them from this mansion. And here ends this episode. This part is a transition between Season 1 and Season 2 of the series.